Jihoon Park stood in the massive council chamber and felt small. The room was huge, with seats rising up in circles around a central speaking area. Thousands of aliens from across the galaxy sat in those seats. Their eyes, tentacles, and other strange body parts all looked down at him. Jihoon was the human ambassador to the Galactic Council. He had held this job for 10 years. In all that time, he had watched his people get pushed around by bigger, stronger alien races. Today felt different. Today felt like the last day he would let it happen. The Vorthak delegate was speaking. Counselor Thexmar was a giant creature that looked like a cross between a lizard and a tank. His voice boomed across the chamber as he read from a long list of new rules for humans. The human colonies will now pay 40% more in tribute to the council, Thexmar announced. His words echoed off the metal walls. All human medical research must be shared with council species immediately. Humans are banned from settling any new worlds beyond the outer rim. Jihoon felt his hands make fists. 40% more tribute meant human families would go hungry. Sharing their medical research meant other species would get rich from human discoveries. And the settlement ban meant young humans would have no new worlds to call home. Dr. Mira Cho sat next to Jihoon. She was a scientist who studied alien life forms. Mira leaned close to his ear and whispered, "I found something in the council databases. They've been stealing our ideas for decades. Every human invention gets taken and given to their favorite species." Jihoon's jaw tightened. He had suspected this for years, but having proof made his anger burn hotter. Counselor Thexmar was still talking. "The humans will also provide workers for the new mining stations in the Kepler system. This is not a request. This is an order from the council." The Zelthari High Regent stood up next. She was tall and thin, with blue skin and 4 arms. Her voice was cold and sharp like ice. "Some human settlements are in the way of our expansion plans. These humans will be moved to make room for proper Zelthari colonies. The humans should be grateful we are not simply removing them entirely." That was it. That was the moment Jihoon could not take anymore. Mira grabbed his arm. "Jihoon, wait. Think about this." "I have been thinking about this for 10 years, Jihoon said quietly. He stood up from his seat. The chamber was huge, but somehow his movement caught everyone's attention. Thousands of alien eyes turned to look at the human ambassador. Conversations stopped. The only sound was the hum of the station's air systems. Jihoon walked down the steps to the speaking area in the center of the chamber. His footsteps echoed in the silence. He had given speeches here before, but they were always polite requests that got ignored. Today would be different. "Honored delegates," Jihoon began. His voice was calm, but it carried clearly through the chamber. "I have served as humanity's representative for 10 years. In that time, I have watched you treat my people like children who cannot take care of themselves." Murmurs started around the chamber. Some aliens looked confused. Others looked angry that a human was speaking without permission. "You take our food, our medicine, our technology, and our people," Jihoon continued. "You give us nothing in return except more demands. You move us around like pieces on a game board. You act like we should be grateful for the chance to serve you." Counselor Thexmar's voice boomed out. "The human will return to his seat and remain silent. This council does not recognize your right to speak." Jihoon looked up at the massive lizard creature. For the first time in 10 years, he was not afraid. "You are right," Jihoon said. "This council does not recognize our rights. It never has. That is why humanity will no longer be part of it." The chamber exploded into noise. Aliens were shouting in dozens of languages. Some were standing up and pointing at Jihoon. Others were talking rapidly into communication devices. Jihoon raised his voice above the chaos. "The United Earth Coalition hereby withdraws from the Galactic Council. Humanity declares its full independence from this body. We will no longer accept the role of a junior species. We will no longer pay tribute to races that see us as slaves. This declaration is effective immediately." The Zelthari High Regents' voice cut through the noise like a blade. "This is treason. Humans cannot survive without the Council's protection." "We will find out," Jihoon replied calmly. Mira Cho had followed him down to the speaking area. She was pale but stood next to him with her chin up. "The human colonies have already been notified," she announced to the chamber. "Our ships are leaving council space as we speak." This was not entirely true, but it sounded good. The truth was that some human colonies had been secretly preparing for this day. Others would have to scramble to get ready. But Mira's confident tone made it sound like humanity had planned this perfectly. Councillor Thexmar stood up to his full height. He was nearly 3 times taller than Ji-hoon. "Foolish humans, you have no idea what you have done. The Council's protection is the only thing that has kept you alive in this galaxy." "Your protection?" Ji-hoon laughed. "You mean your control. We reject it. Humanity will make its own way in the galaxy." The chamber was in complete chaos now. Delegates were shouting at each other in dozens of languages. Security forces were moving toward the speaking area. Communication screens were lighting up all around the chamber as news of humanity's declaration spread across the galaxy. Ji-hoon looked around at the chaos and felt a strange sense of peace. For 10 years he had played by their rules and watched his people suffer. Now the rules were off. Humanity would sink or swim on its own merits. "Come on," he said to Mira. "Let's go home." They walked toward the exit as alien security forces moved to surround them. Ji-hoon was not sure if they would make it out of the chamber alive. But for the first time in years he felt like a free man. Behind them, the Galactic Council erupted into the biggest crisis in its 1,000-year history. The humans were loose, and nobody knew what that would mean for the galaxy. Admiral Hyun-woo Kim stood in the war room deep under the mountains of Earth. Banks of computer screens showed ships moving across the galaxy. Each dot of light represented a human vessel racing toward safety. Some would make it. Others might. "Not how many ships have left Council space?" Hyun-woo asked. 60% of our civilian fleet," reported Captain Dong-yun Nam. "The military vessels are moving into position as planned." "And the colonies?" "New Seoul is evacuating now. The other outer colonies are split. Some are coming home. Others want to stay and fight." Hyun-woo nodded. He had expected this. Humans were stubborn. They did not like being told to run away even when running was smart. The door to the war room opened. Engineer Soo-min Lee walked in carrying a tablet. Her eyes were bright with excitement despite the crisis. "Admiral, Project Prometheus is ready," she announced. For 5 years, Soo-min had been working on humanity's secret weapon. While the Galactic Council thought humans were weak and dependent, engineers like Soo-min had been building something amazing in hidden shipyards. "Show me," Hyun-woo said. Soo-min touched her tablet and the main screen changed. It showed a sleek ship unlike anything in the Council fleets. The human ship was smaller but looked faster and deadlier. "We call it the Phoenix class," Soo-min explained. "It uses our new quantum computing system linked with adaptive AI. The ship learns and improves during combat. Council ships use the same tactics they've used for centuries. Our ships get smarter with every battle." Captain Dong-yun stepped closer to the screen. "How many do we have?" 300 completed, another 500 in final assembly. The Council thinks we have maybe 50 old patrol ships. They have no idea what's coming." Admiral Hyun-woo smiled for the first time in days. "What about the jump drives?" "That's the best part," Soo-min said. She switched the screen to show a star map. Council ships need their hyperspace beacons to travel between systems. We don't. Our new jump drives can go anywhere without their permission or their tracking systems. This was huge. The Council controlled travel between star systems by controlling the hyperspace beacons. If humans could travel without those beacons, they could not be trapped or followed easily. "We tested it yesterday," Captain Dong-hyun said. "I took the prototype ship from Earth to the Centauri system and back. No beacons needed. The Council has no idea where we went or how we got there." The door opened again. Commander Yuna Bayek entered with urgent news. "Admiral, we're getting reports from the mixed colonies. The Council is demanding that all humans surrender immediately. They're threatening to arrest any human who doesn't report to Council authorities within 24 hours. Hyun-woo frowned. "What are our people doing?" "Most are ignoring the order. The governor of Harmony Station told the Council representative to go back where he came from. New Angeles is organizing resistance cells. The miners on Titan Base said they'll blow up the mining equipment before they surrender it. Good, Hyun-woo said. What about our diplomatic efforts? Commander Yuna pulled out her own tablet. Dr. Ji-won Kang has been busy. She's been secretly talking to minor species for years. The Rilan want to join us. So do the Cathari and the Bixtar. They're all tired of being pushed around by the big council races. This was the part of the plan that excited Hyun-woo most. Humanity alone could not fight the entire Galactic Council, but humanity plus a dozen angry minor species might have a chance. The Rilan have good shields, Suman noted. The Cathari make excellent fighters, and the Bixtar know council communication codes. Any word from Ambassador Ji-hoon? Hyun-woo asked. He and Dr. Mira made it off the council station, Yuna reported. They're on their way back to Earth. The council tried to arrest them, but some minor species delegates helped them escape. Captain Dong-yun looked at the star map. Admiral, we need to make a decision. Do we run and hide, or do we make a stand? Before Hyun-woo could answer, alarms began blaring throughout the war room. A technician at one of the control stations called out urgently. Admiral, long-range sensors are detecting a massive council fleet heading toward the Sol system. 3,000 ships, including Vorthak battlecruisers and Zelthari dreadnoughts. The room went silent. 3,000 ships was more firepower than humanity had ever faced. It was enough to destroy every human world and station. Time to arrival? Hyun-woo asked calmly. 72 hours at their current speed. Hyun-woo looked around the room at his officers. These were good people who had worked hard to prepare for this moment. Now it was time to find out if their preparations were enough. Suman, how quickly can we get our new ships into action? The 300 completed ships can launch immediately. We can have another 100 ready in 48 hours. Dong-yun, start moving our ships into defensive positions. But use the new jump drives. I want the council to think we only have our old patrol ships until the shooting starts. Yes, sir. Yuna, contact Dr. Ji-won. Tell her it's time for our new allies to choose sides. And send a message to all human colonies. They can evacuate if they want, but if they stay, they're going to fight. As his officers hurried to carry out their orders, Admiral Hyun-woo stared at the star map. In 72 hours, the largest space battle in human history would begin. Humanity would either prove they belonged among the stars, or they would be destroyed trying, but they would not go back to being slaves. That much was certain. The galaxy was about to learn what humans could do when they stopped asking for permission. Engineer Suman paused at the door. Admiral, there's one more thing. The new ships have a message system that can broadcast on all council frequencies. When the battle starts, every species in the galaxy will be watching. Good, Hyun-woo replied. Let them watch. Let them see what happens when free people fight for their independence. As Suman left, Hyun-woo turned back to the star map. Red dots showed the approaching council fleet. Blue dots showed human positions. Soon, the colors would clash, and the galaxy would never be the same. Colonel Tae-hyun-oh watched the enemy fleet approach through the bridge windows of New Seoul Station. The Galactic Council had sent 3,000 warships to destroy humanity's most successful outer colony. Against them, Tae-hyun had exactly 37 ships and a space station that was built for mining, not fighting. Colonel, they're demanding our surrender, reported Communications Officer Nari Jang. The Vorthak commander says we have 10 minutes to give up or they'll destroy the station. Tell them we need more time to consider, Tae-hyun replied calmly. Nari looked confused. Sir, we're not actually surrendering, are we? No, but I want them to think we might. Keep them talking as long as possible. What the council fleet did not know was that scientist Yoon-ji Han had been working in the asteroid fields around New Seoul for months. She had been building something that would change space warfare forever. Yoon-ji, are your ghost ships ready? Tae-hyun asked into his communicator. Ready and waiting, came her voice over the radio. The council ships won't know what hit them. Yoon-ji had created ships that could phase in and out of normal space. They used human quantum technology that the council had never seen before. To enemy sensors, the ghost ships would appear to be empty space one moment and deadly warships the next. Pilot Min-woo Shin, how are your fighters? All systems green, Colonel. My squadron is ready to show these aliens how humans fight. Minwu's fighters were equipped with adaptive AI systems that learned from enemy tactics in real time. Unlike Council pilots who followed rigid training patterns, human fighters could change and improve during battle. The Council fleet was massive. Vorthak battlecruisers were as big as city blocks and bristling with weapons. Zelthari dreadnoughts looked like floating fortresses covered in armor and gun turrets. The human ships looked like tiny insects next to these giants. Colonel, the 10 minutes are up, Nari reported. They're demanding an answer. Tell them our answer is no. The lead Vorthak battlecruiser opened fire. Massive energy beams lanced out toward New Sol Station. But the beams hit empty space where the station had been a moment before. Phase shift. Complete, reported the station's chief engineer. Yunji's technology did not just work on ships. The entire station could now slip in and out of normal space. The Council fleet was confused. Their sensors showed the station was still there, but their weapons could not hit it. Before they could figure out what was happening, the ghost ships attacked. 30 invisible human ships appeared in the middle of the Council formation. They fired once and vanished again. 5 Council ships exploded before their crews knew they were under attack. "This is impossible," came an angry voice over the radio. It was the Vorthak fleet commander. "Human ships cannot do this." "We're just getting started," Taehyun replied. Minwu's fighter squadron swept in from the side. The Council pilots tried to follow their standard intercept patterns, but the human fighters changed tactics faster than the aliens could respond. Human ships that should have been easy targets suddenly became deadly predators. "Colonel, I'm getting readings on 12. Enemy fighters destroyed," reported the tactical officer. "We haven't lost a single ship." This was exactly what Yunji had hoped for. Council military doctrine had not changed in centuries. They relied on overwhelming firepower and numerical superiority. But humans fought differently. They adapted, improvised, and used technology in ways the Council had never imagined. The ghost ships appeared again, this time behind the main Council formation. They targeted the command ships, trying to disrupt enemy coordination. More Council vessels exploded in brilliant flashes of light. "All ships, fall back to defensive positions," ordered the Vorthak commander. "Regroup and await new orders." But the Council ships could not regroup against enemies they could not track. Every time they tried to form battle lines, ghost ships would appear among them. Every time they sent fighters to attack human positions, Minwu's adaptive squadrons would outmaneuver them. Communications officer Nari was busy at her station. "Colonel, I'm broadcasting this battle on all frequencies like Admiral Hyunwoo ordered. The entire galaxy is watching." This was important. Humans wanted other species to see that the mighty Galactic Council could be defeated. Every minor species that had been pushed around by the Council was watching humans prove it could be done. The battle raged for 6 hours. Council ships kept exploding while human losses remained almost zero. The enemy fleet started to panic. They had come expecting an easy victory against primitive human technology. Instead, they were being destroyed by weapons and tactics they did not understand. "Colonel, we're detecting new ships entering the system," called the sensor operator. "Human signatures. It's Admiral Soo-Young Lim with the Earth Defense Fleet." Through the viewing windows, Taehyun could see them arriving. Hundreds of sleek human warships dropped out of hyperspace around the Council fleet. These were not the old patrol ships the Council expected. These were Suman's Phoenix-class vessels, armed with the most advanced technology humanity had ever built. Admiral Soo-Young's voice came over the radio, calm and confident. "Council fleet, you are surrounded and outgunned. Surrender now and your crews will be treated well. Continue fighting and you will be destroyed." The Vorthak commander's reply was full of rage. "Humans cannot defeat the Galactic Council. This is impossible." "Watch us," Admiral Soo-Young replied. The new human fleet opened fire. Energy weapons that the Council had never seen before reached out and touched enemy ships. Instead of explosions, the Council vessels simply stopped working. Their engines shut down. Their weapons went offline. Their life support systems failed. "I call it the shutdown beam," Yunji explained over the radio. It disrupts the quantum processors that run Council technology. Very effective and very humane. Within an hour, the entire Council fleet was drifting helplessly in space. Their crews were alive, but their ships were useless. The battle was over. This is Admiral Su Yung to all Council vessels. We are sending rescue ships to evacuate your crews. Despite your attempt to destroy us, we will not leave you to die in space. That is the difference between human justice and Council oppression. Colonel Taehyun watched the rescue operations begin. Human ships were moving to help their former enemies. This act of mercy would be broadcast across the galaxy along with the battle footage. Nari, are you still broadcasting? Yes, sir. Every species in the galaxy just watched 3,000 Council ships get defeated by a few hundred human vessels, and now they're watching us save the enemy crews. Good. Let them see how humans fight and how humans show mercy. Maybe some of them will want to join us. As the day ended, New Sol Station was safe. The Council's first attempt to crush human independence had failed completely. But Taehyun knew this was just the beginning. The Council would not give up easily. Colonel, we're getting messages from 17 different species, Nari reported, excitedly. They're all asking about joining the human rebellion against the Council. Taehyun smiled. The galaxy was starting to wake up. Soon, humanity would not be fighting alone. Rebel Leader. Seung-ho Park crouched behind a broken wall on the planet Kepler 9. Council security forces were searching the ruins of what used to be a beautiful alien city. They were looking for him and the other resistance fighters hiding in the rubble. Any word from the other cells? Whispered Yuki, a young Relan fighter who had joined the human rebellion. 17 species have declared independence so far, Seung-ho replied quietly. The Council is losing control of the outer systems. It had been 2 weeks since the Battle of New Sol. News of humanity's victory had spread across the galaxy faster than the Council could stop it. Species that had been oppressed for centuries were finally fighting back. Seung-ho's communicator buzzed softly. Intelligence Officer Hyun Kim was calling from her hiding spot inside a Council facility. Seung-ho, I'm inside the emergency session, Hyun whispered. You need to hear this. Through his earpiece, Seung-ho could hear angry alien voices arguing in the Galactic Council's emergency chambers. The Council was meeting in secret, trying to figure out how to stop the rebellion. The humans must be crushed immediately, roared a Vorthak voice. Their victory has given hope to every minor species. This rebellion will destroy everything we have built. Agreed, came the cold tones of a Zelthari delegate. But how? Our First Fleet was completely defeated. The humans have technology we do not understand. Then we use the forbidden weapons, suggested another voice. The planet killers we swore never to use again. Seung-ho felt his blood turn cold. Planet killers were weapons that could destroy entire worlds. The Council had banned them centuries ago after they were used to wipe out a species that refused to surrender. A new voice spoke up, older and more calculating. Before we resort to such measures, perhaps we should reveal the truth about the archive. The archive must remain secret, snapped the Vorthak delegate. What if the humans already know about it? What if they are planning to steal our stored technologies? Hyun's voice came through more clearly as she moved closer to the Council members. They're talking about some kind of archive. It sounds like a storage facility for secret technologies. After the emergency session ended, Hyun made her way to a safe house where refugees from across the galaxy were hiding. Refugee Coordinator. Jaemin Ryu was organizing food and shelter for the growing number of aliens seeking protection in human space. We have a problem, Hyun announced to the group of resistance leaders. The Council has been hiding advanced technologies in something called the Archive, and they're considering using planet-killer weapons against us. An elderly alien engineer named Crix stepped forward. He was a former Council worker who had escaped when his homeworld declared independence. I know about the Archive, Crix said in his mechanical-sounding voice. I helped build some of the storage systems. It is located in the Void Nebula, hidden inside what appears to be an empty asteroid. What kind of technologies? Asked Jaemin. Everything, Crix replied. For thousands of years, the Council has been stealing the best discoveries from member species and storing them in the archive. Faster than light communication that works instantly across the galaxy. Matter replication devices that can create anything from pure energy. Medical technology that can extend life for centuries. Seung-ho felt angry. You mean the Council has had the technology to cure diseases and feed everyone, but they kept it hidden? Yes. They use these technologies for themselves while keeping member species dependent on older, inferior equipment. It is how they maintain control. Hyun was already planning. If we can get into the archive and broadcast its contents to the galaxy, every species will see how much the Council has been hiding from them. The archive is heavily guarded, Crix warned, and it is protected by automated defense systems that will destroy it if anyone tries to break in. Then we need someone on the inside, said Strike Team Leader Kyungmin Seo. She had been listening quietly, but now she stepped into the light. Crix, do you still have access codes? Some of them, yes, but they may have been changed since I left. It's worth the risk, Seung-ho decided. If we can expose the Council's lies, the rebellion will spread to every corner of the galaxy. 3 days later, Kyungmin led a mixed team of humans and aliens toward the Void Nebula. Her ship was a captured Council vessel that should be able to get past the outer defenses without raising suspicion. Remember, we only have one chance at this, Kyungmin told her team as they approached the hidden asteroid. If the alarms go off, the archive will self-destruct and take us with it. The asteroid looked empty from the outside, but Crix guided them to a concealed docking bay. The old engineer's access code still worked, allowing them to enter the facility without triggering security systems. Inside, the archive was enormous. Vast chambers stretched out in all directions, filled with strange devices and glowing storage units. Each room contained the stolen innovations of entire civilizations. Look at this, whispered one of the Rillan team members. This is our quantum healing technology. The Council told us it was too dangerous to use, but they have been using it themselves for centuries. And this is Cathari gravity manipulation, said another alien. We were told it was impossible to build. Kyungmin and her team worked quickly to download everything. Terabytes of stolen technology, suppressed scientific discoveries, and evidence of the Council's deception filled their portable storage devices. We have enough, Kyungmin announced. Let's get out of here before... Alarms started blaring throughout the archive. Red lights flashed as automated voices announced that intruders had been detected. Run! Shouted Crix. The team raced back to their ship as defense systems came online around them. Energy barriers tried to block their path while robotic guards emerged from hidden compartments. They barely made it to their ship before the archive's self-destruct sequence began. As they fled the Void Nebula, Kyungmin watched the massive facility explode behind them in a flash of light that could be seen from several star systems away. Did we get everything? She asked. Everything, confirmed the team's data specialist. Thousands of years of stolen technology and proof of the Council's lies. Back on Earth, broadcaster Subin Yang received the archive data and immediately began transmitting it across the galaxy. Every species with communication equipment could access the files and see what had been hidden from them. The reaction was immediate and explosive. Species that had believed they were primitive compared to the Council learned that their ancestors had actually invented most of the advanced technologies the Council claimed as their own. Within hours, 50 more species declared independence. Council facilities across the galaxy were stormed by angry citizens demanding answers. The 1,000-year-old government was collapsing as the truth spread. The Council is finished, Seung-ho reported from his new headquarters on a liberated world. Their own people are turning against them now that they know the truth. But Intelligence Officer Hyun had disturbing news. The Vorthok Empire and Zelthari hegemony are mobilizing their entire military forces. They're not giving up. They're planning one final assault to destroy humanity and everyone who supports us. How many ships? Asked Seung-ho. Every ship they
have, plus the planet killer weapons. They would rather destroy the galaxy than lose control of it. The rebellion had succeeded beyond humanity's wildest dreams. But now came the final test.
Could the free species of the galaxy unite to defeat their former oppressors before the Council destroyed everything out of spite? The last battle was coming, and it would decide the fate of every living being in the galaxy. Fleet Admiral Ji-hoon Park stood on the bridge of the flagship Liberty and watched the largest space battle in galactic history unfold before him. Thousands of ships from dozens of species had gathered around Nexus Prime, the Galactic Council's capital station. Today would decide whether the galaxy remained under Council control or became truly free. Admiral, all Allied fleets are in position, reported Battle Coordinator Won-ho Lee. We have ships from 43 different species ready to fight. Ji-hoon nodded. It was amazing to see. Rillan cruisers flew alongside human destroyers. Cathari fighters formed up with Bixtar scouts. Former enemies had become allies in the fight for freedom. What about the Council forces? Every remaining Vorthak and Zelthari ship is defending the station. They also have those planet-killer weapons online. If we get too close, they might try to destroy Nexus Prime with everyone on it. They would kill their own people? The Council leadership is desperate, Admiral. They know this is their last stand. Across the battle zone, the massive Nexus Prime station hung in space like a metal moon. It was the size of a small planet and housed millions of beings. The Vorthak and Zelthari fleets had formed defensive rings around it, their weapons pointed outward at the approaching rebellion forces. Admiral, incoming transmission from the Council, announced Communications Officer Nari Jung. The main screen flickered to life, showing the angry face of Councillor Thexmar, the same Vorthak who had announced the tribute increases that started. This whole war? Human Admiral, Thexmar growled. You have brought ruin to the galaxy. Surrender now and we will allow your species to continue existing as slaves. Refuse, and we will destroy every world that supports this rebellion. Councillor Thexmar, Ji-hoon replied calmly. You're the one who brought ruin to the galaxy. For centuries, you've stolen from other species and kept them down. Today, that ends. Foolish human. We will show you the price of defying the natural order. The Council fleet opened fire. Massive energy beams and missile volleys streaked across space toward the Allied ships. But the rebellion was ready. Engineer Boram Nam had spent weeks preparing a special surprise. As the Council weapons approached, she activated a new human invention called the Harmony Field. Instead of destroying the incoming attacks, it converted their energy into power for the Allied ships. Council weapons are actually making us stronger, Won-ho reported with amazement. But the real battle was just beginning. Council fighters poured out of Nexus Prime like angry insects. They outnumbered the Allied fighters 3-1, but they were fighting differently now. The rebellion had taught former enemies to work together. Rillan ships used their advanced shields to protect smaller Allied vessels. Cathari fighters used their speed to outmaneuver enemy formations. Human ships coordinated everything with their adaptive AI systems. Together, they were more than the sum of their parts. Field medic Da-hyun Choi worked frantically in the medical bay as wounded from multiple species were brought in. Her patients had different blood colors and different anatomies, but they all shared the same hope for freedom. Doctor, we have a Zelthari pilot who was shot down, reported a medical assistant. He says he wants to join us. Treat his wounds first, Da-hyun replied. We can ask about his loyalties later. This was happening throughout the battle. Council, soldiers who had been forced to fight were surrendering and asking to join the rebellion. The truth about the archive had spread even to the Council's own military forces. Admiral, the planet-killer weapons are powering up. Won-ho called out urgently. If they fire those things in this crowded area, millions will die. Engineer Boram was already working on the problem. I think I can disable them, but I need to get close to the station. Too dangerous, Ji-hoon decided. The defenses around Nexus Prime will destroy any ship that gets near. Not if I use the shutdown beam, Boram replied. The same technology that defeated the Council fleet at New Sol. I can disable their defenses and their planet killers at the same time. Do it. Boram's ship, accompanied by a small escort, made a desperate run toward Nexus Prime. Council ships tried to intercept them, but Allied forces created a corridor of protection. Human, Rillan, and Cathari ships sacrificed themselves to keep Boram's mission alive. As her ship approached the massive station, Borum activated the shutdown beam. The weapon reached out across space and touched Nexus Prime's quantum processors. Suddenly, the station's weapons went silent. Its shields collapsed. Even its life support systems began to fail. "This is Admiral Ji-hoon to Nexus Prime," he broadcast, "on all frequencies. Your weapons are disabled and your life support is failing. We are sending rescue ships to evacuate the station. Repeat, we are offering rescue to all beings on Nexus Prime." The Council leadership was furious, but their own people were panicking. Millions of civilians lived on the station, and they did not want to die for the Council's pride. "All ships begin evacuation procedures," Ji-hoon ordered. "Priority goes to civilians and medical cases. We save everyone we can." What happened next shocked the galaxy. Human ships that had been fighting the Council minutes before now moved in to rescue Council citizens. Allied medical ships docked with Nexus Prime to treat the wounded. Former enemies worked side by side to save lives. "Admiral, Counselor Thexmar is requesting to speak with you," Nari reported. On the screen, the massive Vorthak looked defeated. His anger had been replaced by confusion. "Human Admiral," Thexmar said slowly, "why are you saving us?" "We tried to destroy you." "Because that's what free people do," Ji-hoon replied. "We don't leave others to die, even our enemies. That's the difference between your way and our way." As the evacuation continued, Ambassador Hana Yu arrived with a fleet of diplomatic ships. She had been working for months to prepare for this moment, the creation of a new galactic government. "Admiral, representatives from 87 species are requesting permission to come aboard," Hana announced. "They want to form a new alliance based on equality instead of domination." The negotiations took place in the main hangar of the Liberty. Beings from across the galaxy gathered to write a new charter of free species. Philosopher Jung-hyun An had spent years preparing the basic principles: self-determination, mutual cooperation, and the sharing of knowledge for the benefit of all. "No more tribute payments," declared the Rillan representative. "No more forced relocations," added the Cathari delegate. "No more hiding of beneficial technologies," insisted a former council engineer. President Soyeon Kim of Earth delivered the closing speech as the charter was signed. She stood before beings who had been enemies just hours before and spoke of a new future. "Today we prove that freedom is not just a human dream," she said. "Every species in this galaxy has the right to determine its own destiny. The strong should protect the weak, not exploit them. Knowledge should be shared, not hoarded. And when we fight, it should be to defend the innocent, not to conquer them." The Free Galactic Alliance was born that day. Unlike the old council, it had no dominant species. Every member had an equal voice. Decisions were made by cooperation, not force. Months later, former council territories were thriving under the new system. The technologies from the archive were being shared freely, leading to advances in medicine, agriculture, and space travel that benefited everyone. Ji-hoon, now serving as the Alliance's first military coordinator, received reports from across the galaxy. The Rillan had developed new healing techniques that worked on multiple species. The Cathari were teaching their gravity manipulation to young engineers from dozens of worlds. Humans continued exploring the galaxy's frontiers, but now they were helping other species establish their own colonies instead of competing with them. "Any word from the former council leadership?" asked Dr. Mira Cho during a staff meeting. "Counselor Thexmar is working in a refugee camp, helping rebuild worlds damaged in the war," Ji-hoon replied. "He says it's the first honest work he's done in centuries." "And the Zelthari?" "They're using their industrial technology to build hospitals and schools instead of warships. Amazing what happens when you give people a choice." As the meeting ended, Ji-hoon looked out at the stars and smiled. Humanity had started this rebellion to free themselves from oppression. Instead, they had freed an entire galaxy and proven that cooperation was stronger than domination. The galaxy was vast and full of wonders waiting to be discovered. Now, for the first time in centuries, all its people were free to explore those wonders together.